So every year, PS1 MoMA does this competition in the courtyard of PS1. So I've known about the competition for years since I came to the States. And I've visited several of the pavilions and I've always found them really exciting. Really those kind of projects where the designers are clearly stretching their legs and being allowed to have design freedom versus being problem solvers. The brief is quite simple. We are supposed to provide shade and water, a space for the warm-up series party every Saturday. This year they changed it a little bit and incorporated Expo 1. Maybe a lecture would happen, maybe an art studio would happen, a film screening. What's really important is context. So the way that we approach a project is to really look at what's there as a kind of set of things to respond to in order to generate the project. And so we started looking at context in various different ways. So what does it look like? What is the climatic context? How does the sun move around the site? The historical context, it's a very short history of 13 previous projects. We realized that there are a lot of canopy projects and we wanted to figure out how can we solve the same problems but in a different way. So we're in the architecture department, Sibley Hall at Cornell University. This is where we've been working since we won the competition. I do three things. I teach at Cornell, I design, and I write. The issues that I'm writing about help me to figure out what am I doing in the design project, and what I'm writing about comes from teaching seminars at Cornell. So all of those three things, even though it's a lot, they kind of nudge each other forward. I went to the University of Manchester to study architecture. I specialized in bioclimatics, which is, on one hand you could think of it as sustainability, but it was a lot more than that. It was about looking at the animal and environment relationship and looking at nature to see how does nature behave and how can we learn from that in architecture. I took a year out in Sydney, came back to Manchester to finish my B.Arch, and then moved to Holland. I worked on a range of projects from urban scale to architectural scale, and during that 4-year period I did 8 competitions, and after that I was ready to go to grad school, so I came to Princeton. Peter Eisenman is the person who taught me about meaning in architecture, and that architecture can be legible, it can say something. So I stayed in New York for about 2.5 years. I also taught at Cooper Union at the same time. And then finally I came to Ithaca. I started Coda in 2008 as a way to figure out what kind of design practice do I want to have versus how do I fit into other offices. And those other offices have been hugely influential on me, but I think it was time then to figure out how am I going to approach design. We've done, I think, 9 projects since the beginning of Coda. Coda is really just me, but I've collaborated with many people over the years in various competitions. And this project in particular has become highly collaborative. Many people are involved. The core team of designers, the students who volunteer on the weekends and who will volunteer on site, and then many, many layers of consultants and advisors who are also involved.
So my name's Suzanne. I'm the project leader for the PS1 project. For the most part, I've been dealing with all the consultants and sort of organizing everyone. And I'm dealing with structure and the water bladders, which are the 4,000 gallons of water that are ballasting the structure down. Because it's a temporary structure, extensive foundations don't make sense. So the water bags basically hold the structure down.
I'm Michael Jefferson. I'm a member of Coda. For my part of the project, I have responsibility over kind of the ground material as well as the water systems. There's a series of pools, there's a large misting station, and there's also a spout.
When we were designing the project, we were all kind of obsessed with walls. And if you think about the wall in relation to water, which was part of the brief, a wall with water is an aqueduct. So it's kind of like a big loop with an aqueduct at the top, a fountain, and then a series of pools at the bottom.
I'm Stephen Klipp. Really from the beginning I was very particularly involved with the facade work. When we were doing the competition, it was a number of different facade iterations that we did over the course of a few weeks.
We had the wall kind of early on. But the wall has problems. The brief says to not take up any space because there will be a lot of people dancing. We immediately knew that we needed to lift the wall up and basically let it only touch down on a few feet, a little bit like an animal. If you look back through the sketchbook, there are a lot of Trojan horse proposals, early wall proposals that do look like letters. The way that we've just cut away at the feet and at the top starts to look like a word already. It was very clear how we should work. It wasn't clear what we would end up with.